What's up everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. Hope you're having a good day, and welcome to another Pokemon GO video. Alright, today I wanted to talk about the most recent update that we got for Pokemon GO, and how it makes the game feel so much better, yet also how badly it breaks the game for some players. I'm going to be telling you why you should or should not install the latest update in this video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. Okay, let's talk about this latest update. So, recently, Niantic started rolling out version 0.255.0 onto the various app stores, and they stated on social media that this update will drastically increase the speed of various animations in the game. This was quite a surprise within the Pokemon GO community because nobody was asking for this sort of thing, but it would make a world of a difference to the average player in terms of how the game will feel. Now, this may not impact the gameplay overall for the casual player, but it is certainly going to benefit hardcore players who catch Pokemon en masse through the quick catch method and beyond. For anyone who has mastered the art of playing Pokemon GO as efficiently as possible, this update definitely cuts out a lot of unnecessary time with daily and repetitive tasks. So what exactly did they do? Well, when it comes to the Pokemon encounter animation, catch animation, and basic UI animations, they increased the speed by more than double. What would take several seconds to complete now take about a fraction of the time. This was pretty huge, since there were plenty of times where the gameplay would feel sluggish, and this addresses all of that. One of the most notable areas where the gameplay feels smoothed out is with gift giving and gift opening. You can now do this pretty quickly, whereas before it felt extremely clunky and took up too much of your time. Another area that felt improved was with catching Pokemon, as you don't have to sit there going through so many animations. You can just continuously tap and catch as many Pokemon on screen without wasting a whole lot of time, even if you're not using the quick catch method. At first, a lot of players felt like this was pretty jarring, especially those who were used to the slower animations over several years of gameplay. However, once those players got used to the sped up animations, the gameplay just felt a whole lot smoother and a lot more streamlined. Now, one animation that hasn't been touched with this update is of course evolution animations, so if you're looking for improvements in that regard, don't expect it at all. But in terms of everything else in the game, it is definitely a lot faster and smoother. I think this was Niantic's goal with this update. They probably wanted a gameplay experience that didn't feel laggy and truly benefited from the recently added functionality to use native refresh rates of newer devices. I think they succeeded on that front, because I will say the gameplay does feel a heck of a lot better after running the update. I really think the implications behind these changes are going to be extremely positive moving forward. Various events that require an insane amount of catching like spotlight hours and community days are going to feel so much better, especially ones that include a Stardust bonus. Since players are going to try to catch as much as they can during these sort of events, having the gameplay feel a lot smoother is just going to improve the experience. You will also no longer have to rely on various tricks to optimize your gameplay at the detriment of performance. One specific thing that comes to mind is quick catching with AR turned on, which was a trick that a lot of hardcore players were using in order to get more catches in. With these sped up animations, you no longer have to utilize these sort of things in order to get the best results possible. So yeah, overall, I'm feeling very positive about this update, but unfortunately, there is a pretty big catch that we cannot ignore. Included with these animation speedups is of course a lot of bugs and glitches with the Go Battle League. On certain devices, namely Android devices, it seems like the new update will cause players to completely freeze out when using or facing charge attacks. This is likely related to the new faster animations, and it is definitely game-breaking. These aren't even one-off cases, as several players are reporting that this is frequently happening to them after running the update. Thus, it has made the Go Battle League both unpredictable and unplayable for most. This is actually quite unfortunate because we are drawing close to the end of the current season, so a lot of players are trying to grind these last few weeks in order to finish at a higher rank for better rewards. What Niantic should have done was either wait until the end of the season for this update or not have any faster animations with battling, at least until these kinds of bugs get sorted out. I'm actually quite surprised that something as huge as this slipped through the cracks with Niantic's testers and developers. Since the issue is seldom happening on iOS devices, it seems to indicate to me that Niantic developers are probably only running these tests on iOS devices. Since a larger number of people own Android phones over Apple phones, considering they are typically more cost-efficient products, this was a huge oversight that should have been corrected almost immediately. Hopefully some lessons were learned here, but I have a strong tendency to be pessimistic when it comes to this company, especially with their track record from this year alone. So yeah, should you run this latest update? Well, I guess it depends on what you do most with Pokémon GO. If you are someone who actively engages in PvP, I would definitely hold off on updating, even if you have an iOS device. It just might not be worth the risk, because the Go Battle League is unplayable with this update. But if you are someone who is more interested in raids, catching Pokemon, or any other forms of gameplay outside of PvP, then yes, I do think this update is a good one. The gameplay does feel a lot smoother, and you will have a much better experience with Spotlight Hours and the upcoming December Community Day. Hopefully Niantic will add a fix to the PvP issues really soon, because these gameplay improvements should be enjoyed by everyone. I mean, there will be a point where this update will be forced, so battlers should try to get as many battles in while they can. At this point, there's not a whole lot you can do. For me personally, I went ahead and updated my game. The reason for this is because I kind of stopped battling after completing the 500th win limited time research. I don't necessarily care too much for hitting Legend this season, mainly because I want to wait for different Pokemon to impact the current meta. I've primarily focused on collecting as much Stardust as possible, so this update has definitely improved my own personal experience with the game. So yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for this video. Now, I would love to know your thoughts regarding this update. Have you updated Pokemon GO to the latest version? What are your thoughts regarding the animation changes? Let me know down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And if you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.